Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Test Flight, the preview series, in the MiG-21 Fishbed. And I'm in an air start. I'm breaking one of my own little personal rules for my videos. I'm doing an air start this time because I set a limit of 10 videos for this preview series, and I want to get this done relatively quickly so I can move on. And I'm just developing so many bad habits rushing through it like this that I'm better off until the release version comes out and I am done with this series. Yeah, just going from an air start. All I'm going to do from here on out is air-to-ground deployment and exploring the types of bombs that we have to deliver and a couple different techniques that we have to deliver the bombs with. So let me go to the external view real quick and show you what I have. I have on my inboard stations a couple of 500 kilogram bombs, and on my outboard station a couple of 250 kilogram cluster bombs. So let me go ahead and get set up for a attack using these weapons. So I need to go to the ground position. This one doesn't matter. I need to go to the... let me see here. I'll go to the 3-4 position. This will be the inboard stations. I think I'm finally seeing the pattern here. I believe... Well, I'm not seeing the pattern at all. I'm not sure if 3-4 is the outboard or if that's the inboard stations. Either way, I'm going to release 2 bombs at a time. I'm not sure which ones, frankly, are going to come off this time. But... okay, that's that. Now I need to keep this in the launch position. I need to go to the B position for bombardment, and that's going to set me up with the gun sight in the right mode for an air-to-ground bombs delivery. I leave it in auto. Now I come down here to my center pedestal. I need to release the guard and go up on the tactical, what is this called? Tactical drop switch, and I've got a light on telling me that my bombs are ready to be released. Okay, from here, I just need to get set up on an attack run. This works kind of like a CCIP delivery. I'm going to get a reticule that displays in the gun sight once I am, and it's going to tell me basically where the bomb is going to drop on the ground, almost like a CCIP delivery. So I will go to the fixed beam on my radar. That's going to give me good, accurate ranging data once I get into the dive. Now the trick here is that the gun sight is so small, and when I'm on a dive, if I'm in a too shallow dive angle, the reticule is going to be way down here outside of the field of view of the gun sight. I mean, that's just where the bomb is going to impact. So the trick is going to be to come in from a high dive angle and high speed. That way I'll get that reticule showing me that it's going to be impacting within the gun sight. Now the bad news is that to do that I need to get high in the air, come down steeply, and the MiG-21 does not like to pull out of dives. That's just a fact. That's the way it is. So I need to make sure that I'm releasing this from a high enough altitude that I'll be able to recover from the dive, using no more than a 5G pull to the horizon. So let me go ahead and dive on this target and see how this works. Okay, so throttle idle. I'll roll in. This will be about a 50-degree dive, I would estimate. I'm just going to set it up here. The reticule is not going to be immediately displayed. It's still outside the field of view of the gun sight. I'm just going to put the target down at the bottom of the gun sight and adjust my flight path so that I'm lined up on it. I need to come right again. And now when I see the gun sight reticule appear in the bottom and line up with the target, that's when I want to release, which should be right about now. I'm going to be a little bit long. That's okay. Now pull. No more than 5 Gs. There's 4 Gs. Okay, I can go throttle up. Let me see how that did. Okay, those were the cluster bombs, and that was a little long, which I knew, but yeah, that was actually right where the Pipper was on the ground. So, yeah, I'll call that a successful drop. Now, let me scope this out. Okay, that was 3-4, and my inboard stations came off. So 3-4 is the inboard, 1-2 is the outboard. Okay, that makes sense. Now let me go ahead and select my outboard stations, and this will be a release with those 500 kilogram big, really big bombs. So let me go for some altitude and set up on that same target. And this is what I love about the MiG-21, is that I can set up for a high altitude drop just like that. I mean, I'm ready to roll in on this thing already. I'll go for some more altitude just so that I have time on the descent to really get this lined up, but yeah, outstanding acceleration, outstanding climb. Okay, so I need a little bit more altitude. I'll be back in just a second once I'm set up. Okay, I'm starting to hit the apex in the climb now. That was about, 15-20 seconds. Okay, now let me go ahead and roll in. Now I'll just complete the loop on this roll in. This is something I usually don't do, just to keep myself from getting disoriented. Yeah, see what I mean? Okay, let me complete the loop. Bring it around to the right just a touch. Okay, that's a good setup. Throttle idle. Just going to wait for that reticule to appear. I want to have, this time I think I'll have the target just a little further up in the sight. Release from slightly lower, just to ensure that I can see and have time to track. Okay, release. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is that I think that happened on a rocket's release earlier before. I'll go to the 1-4 setting. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And it looks like once I do one of those, once I pickle off some of the bombs, then I have to go to the 1-4 setting to get anything at all to come off. So, okay, I think I've got that worked out now. Let me come back around, set up for one more run on that, and I'll see you in a second. Okay, coming around, I'm going to roll in. Oh, that was a huge buffet I got there. I think I'm a little bit slow. Yeah, I was a little bit aggressive on that pull. Okay, so let me just get this set up. Roll out. Throttle idle. And let's see, what is my dive angle now? Okay, that's, geez, only 35 degrees. It seems a lot steeper. I'm just going to wait for that reticule to appear at the bottom of the gun sight glass. Once it aligns, I'll release. Anytime now. Got it. Release. I need to pull aggressively now. I can go ahead and pull it up all the way past 5 Gs. I don't have any storage to worry about. How'd that do? Oh yeah, bombs on target. That's great. I'll take that. Well, that is dive bombing. I think that's the primary mode and primary method. Just using the gun sight. It requires a lot of altitude and it requires a steep dive angle to make that work. I'm going to have to figure out some stuff. I know there are going to be some good techniques that I can use using this, like the standby reticule, the one that, and I'll make it stand out a little bit more so you can see what I'm talking about here. But the, or maybe I won't. Where's the, let me see, I should have like a little lever here that I can use to make it stand out. Scale, backlights, controls. Okay, that's the scale. I wanted the standby reticule itself. Where is that confounded switch? Right there. Okay. That's the one that I'm talking about. The one that is at full intensity right there. Now, each of these tick marks is going to represent a mil setting. So if you've seen my F86 videos, and maybe some of the stuff I've done in the A10, some of the more obscure stuff I've done in the A10, admittedly, but if you know the mil setting that you need for a specific dive angle, airspeed, and release altitude, you can tell just by using this scale where you need to aim on the ground. And I'm going to get into that for sure here eventually. Maybe not right off the bat in the MiG-21, but eventually I will. So let me go ahead and go back to the mission editor and see what else I have as far as options here, and I will be right back with a new payload. Okay, I'm back up again. Let me show you the loadout that I picked this time. On my inboard stations, I have, it's like multiple ejector racks that have 4 100-kilogram bombs per rack, so 8 bombs total. I also, on my outboard stations, and this is kind of neat, I have flare bombs or flare dispensers, and the way those are going to work is I'm going to release them. The entire dispenser is going to come off the aircraft, and then after a set amount of time elapses, the flares are going to release. So let me try those first. Let me try let me see, so there were outboard, and those should be station 3 and 4. I think did I not definitively come up with 3 and 4 being outboard last time? I'll see how this works. Hopefully I'm not messing this up again. Okay, if it does, well, I don't know what I'm going to do. But okay, so I go to the ground mode, leave that one, 3, 4 for the outboards, launcher, bombardment, good. Tactical release, guard up, switch up, and weapons release, guard release, and I've got my weapons release switch hot. Okay, and I don't need to be on target dead with these flare dispensers. I just want to get them into the target area, release, and let that timer do its job. Once the timer elapses after release, those flares should dispense. And I believe, and I wonder if they, And it'll really matter once I get into that stick of 8 bombs that I'm going to release, if it's a ripple or if they just salvo all at one time. I'm curious to see how it's going to work. But, okay, so let me just dive on the area, and I'm going to put these flares in there just over the right general area. This should be perfect. Okay, good release. And let me just kind of pull up and watch what happens. Oh, better yet, let me go to the F6 view. Okay, dispensers are coming down. They're going to... Timers are going to elapse. Oh, they've already dispensed. And the dispensers just keep going down to the ground. Okay, yeah, very cool. That works. That works. So now I have flares out there, so I have a viable option for nighttime attack in the MiG-21, because, I mean, the default MiG-21s for the time frame and the the users that we're talking about for this model, NVGs aren't going to be really an option or something that's going to be very common. So there we go, nighttime attack capability. Now for this run, I'm going to go ahead and set up to position 1-2. That's going to be my inboard stations, although in the past this hasn't really worked. 1-2 has not really done anything. I've had to go to 1-4 for some reason. I'll see if this works. I'll try to release a stick of bombs into this vehicle target area. And I'll do this. You know what? I'm going to do this from a shallower dive angle, not using the reticule. I'm just going to use the standby indicator and just kind of eyeball this in there. And eventually I'll get to the point where I won't just be eyeballing it. I'll be using the mill setting that we have set up here. You know, each tick is at a specific mill setting. So if you know your dive angle and airspeed and altitude you're releasing from, you can determine using this scale where the bomb is going to hit under the right conditions. So let me just come in here and I'll just pickle off 8 bombs on this little group of vehicle targets. Okay, so I want it still down around the bottom of the scale. I want more airspeed. 800 kph, okay, that's fine. And let me see, if I were going to eyeball this, right about here is where I would release. That's not going to work. Let me go to 1-4. Release. Okay, they do somewhat ripple off. Okay, so I had like a little bit of a ripple pattern there. So it was, I heard 4 separate releases, so it sounds like they do ripple off in sets of 2. So I've got some good spacing there. That'll be useful for 100 kilogram bombs. That'll be good for softly, lightly defended targets, unhardened areas. I'll just be able to get them in there on a target area like that. Okay, no sweat at all. And of course, if I wanted to be very, very precise, I could always go from a higher dive angle and use the system to do that kind of bombing. Okay, I think I've got time in this video to try out 2 more things, and I'll go and do some more in the next video, so I will be right back. Okay, I'm back with another payload. I'm going to go to the external view. And this is kind of surprising. On my inboard stations, I have BL-755 cluster munitions. I was not expecting this to be an option for the MiG-21. Maybe they're there just to fill out maybe a specific nationality payload option there. Yeah, just wasn't expecting those. And I also have on my outboard station a couple of 250 kilogram type bombs. So let me go ahead and set up for this cluster munition release. And I'll go ahead and do the guided release on this one again. Go to the ground position. They're on the inboard stations. Let me go 3-4. Is that right? I've already forgotten again. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't matter. I'll figure this out later. Whatever comes off, it comes off. Whether it's the clusters or whatever. Okay, let me go to fixed beam on my radar. Let's see. Okay, I had ground. It doesn't matter. I got it. Launch, bomb. Good. Tactical release up. And weapons release switch active. Okay. So let me go for some more altitude. And the way the cluster munitions work, or actually the way that all cluster munitions work, with the exception of the CBU-87s that are modeled in the A-10, is that most cluster bombs aren't really set up with a proximity, like a radar proximity type fuse. Like if I go back to the BL-755 fuse, you can see that it's just a standard, like a vein. So it's just airflow over the bomb that's going to arm it. Now this one's set up on a timer. So what I really would need to know here is how long the timer is set to elapse before the bomb dispenses, because that determines where your release, what altitude you're released from, and at what airspeed, and at what dive angle to get the dispenser to release at the proper altitude to get the proper dispersion. So it's not always as easy as just rolling in like you do in the A-10 and letting the proximity fuse dispense at a certain altitude and spin rate. There is a lot of thought that goes into setting up cluster munitions. I'll go for these trucks. Okay, rolling in. Oh boy, I've got to get a lot smoother on the roll in. I kind of yanked it around thinking I was in an A-10 again. Don't need to do that. I'm just going to set the trucks up at the bottom of the gun sight. Okay, throttle idle. I'm just waiting for that pipper to come up through the bottom of the gun sight. I need to come way right. Okay, that's better. Okay, running out of altitude here. I need this to happen quick. Pipper. Release. Pull. No more than 5 Gs. Okay, I can be a little bit more aggressive. Throttle. And how'd that work? Oh, I wish I had better visibility out the back. Okay, throttle up. Oh, wow, okay, that was a bit of a delayed reaction there. That was the type of bomb I had. I just released my outboards, did I not? Okay, so the type of bomb that I had right there were high drags. I didn't pick that up, so it was those were high drag bombs. Okay, very cool. So I have a lot of good options here for air to ground. This is going to be a blast. Let me go to position 1-4, and I'll finish these guys off with cluster bombs. Okay, so yeah, that's an awesome option to have. Now I can really get into some low-level stuff and not have to worry about coming in from such a high dive angle, because with a high drag bomb, you can come in from a shallower dive angle and still be able to use the scale right here to determine where it's going to impact on the ground, because you're going to overfly a lot more territory before the bombs impact. Okay, let me go for some more altitude and see if I can pick these guys up visually again. I'll do the same thing I did just then, except this time get the bombs on target, and I'll come in from in line on these trucks. This is going to be the exact same setup, except this time I'm going to take me out some trucks. Okay, that should work. Okay, throttle in. Let me pull for the target. I'm going to complete the loop again. I hate completing the loop on a dive. Well, no, I am going to roll out back to the left. Throttle idle. I'm just going to correct to the left. Wow, boy, I really need to get this one together. Okay, reticule. I don't know if I'm going to make this one. I'm going to try to make it work, pressing the attack further than I should. Release. I need to pull aggressively. I can do that because I have no more stores. Okay, throttle, pull. Didn't see the impact. Let me come back around. I don't know if I got them or not. Oh yeah, that was on target. I didn't take out the trucks, but I sure rattled them around a little bit. Now they're taking cover and stationary there for me, so now I could, if I wanted to, roll in and engage with gun or rocket or whatever, because I know I've got them rattled and pinned down. Okay, so let me see. This is a lot of fun. I'm going to do one more video like this, just seeing what other different options that we have for bombs. So, hey, thanks again for watching, everybody, and I will be back with the final video in this preview series in just a moment. Thanks again.